The trading station smelled like 1,000 different worlds all mixed together. Dae-hyun walked through the crowded marketplace, his boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. Around him, aliens of every shape and size bought and sold things. Some had 4 arms, some had scales, and some looked like floating jellyfish. He was used to it by now. After 5 years of hauling cargo across the galaxy, nothing surprised him anymore. He needed supplies. His ship, the Morning Star, was running low on food and fuel. The prices here were terrible, but it was the only station for 3 jumps. He grabbed a basket and started picking up packages of dried food. Behind the counter, a blue-skinned vendor with 6 eyes watched him carefully. Humans made a lot of aliens nervous. Dae-hyun paid for his supplies and headed back toward the docking bay. That's when he heard it. A small, frightened sound coming from one of the side alleys. He stopped walking. Most people would keep going. Mind your own business. That's what smart people did on stations like this. But Dae-hyun had never been good at walking away from trouble. He put his supplies down and walked into the alley. It was dark and narrow, with steam coming up from vents in the floor. At the far end, he saw them. 3 big aliens in armor had a small creature cornered against the wall. The little one was maybe waist-high, with shimmering scales that changed colors in the dim light. Big eyes filled with tears. A child. The armored aliens were talking in rough voices. "Just come with us, little prince. Make it easy on yourself." The child shook his head, pressing back against the wall. "No. You'll hurt my mother." One of the hunters laughed. It was not a nice sound. "Your mother is already dead, kid. You're next." Dae-hyun felt something hot rise in his chest. He didn't think. He just acted. That was the human way. "Hey!" he shouted, stepping forward. "Leave the kid alone!" The 3 hunters turned around. They were big, probably from a heavy gravity world. Their armor was covered in weapons. One of them looked at Dae-hyun and made a sound like a growl. "Walk away, human. This doesn't concern you." "I'm making it my concern," Dae-hyun said. His heart was beating fast, but he kept his voice steady. "Let the kid go." The hunters looked at each other. One of them stepped forward, trying to look tough. "Do you know who we work for? We're licensed bounty hunters. This is legal business." "I don't care if you work for the Galactic Emperor himself," Dae-hyun said. He moved closer, putting himself between the hunters and the child. "You're not touching that kid." The lead hunter raised his weapon, some kind of plasma rifle. "Last warning, human. Walk away or we drop you right here." Dae-hyun smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. It was the kind of smile that showed teeth. "You know what they say about humans, right? We're crazy. We don't back down. We don't run away. And we really, really don't like people who hurt children." He saw doubt flicker in the hunter's eyes. Everyone in the galaxy had heard stories about humans. How they fought like wild animals when cornered. How they refused to surrender even when they were dying. How they would chase you across star systems if you hurt someone they cared about. Most of it was true. "There's 3 of us and 1 of you," the hunter said, but his voice wasn't as confident now. "Yeah," Dae-hyun said. "Bad odds. For you." He pulled out his own plasma pistol, a small thing compared to their rifles, but he held it steady. "See? If you shoot me, maybe you kill me, but I'm definitely taking at least 1 of you with me. Maybe 2. You want to die today? For what, some credits?" The hunters hesitated. This wasn't worth it. Not for a payment that they'd have to split 3 ways, minus medical bills, minus funeral costs. The lead hunter lowered his weapon. "Fine, keep the brat. But this isn't over. Our employer wants him dead. Someone will finish the job." "They can try," Dae-hyun said. The 3 hunters backed away, then turned and walked out of the alley. Dae-hyun waited until they were completely gone before he lowered his pistol. His hands were shaking now. That had been stupid. Really stupid. But it had worked. He turned to the child. Hey, it's okay. They're gone now. Are you hurt? The little alien looked up at him with those big eyes. Up close, Dae-hyun could see that the child was thin, too thin, dirty, and scared. How long had he been running? You saved me, the child whispered in Galactic Common. His voice was small and tired. You're human. Yeah, I'm human. Name's Dae-hyun. What's yours? Tali, the child said. Then he did something unexpected. He ran forward and grabbed Dae-hyun's leg, holding on tight. Please don't leave me. They'll come back. They always come back. Dae-hyun's heart broke a little. He knelt down to be at eye level with Tali. I won't leave you, kid, I promise. But I need to know what's going on. Why are those hunters after you? Tali looked around nervously, then leaned in close. His voice was barely a whisper, but the words hit Dae-hyun like a hammer. My mother wants to meet you, human. Before Dae-hyun could ask what that meant, alarms started blaring throughout the station. Red lights flashed. Over the speakers, a mechanical voice announced, Security alert. All personnel report suspicious human in Sector 7. Bounty hunters request backup. We need to move, Dae-hyun said. He picked up Tali, surprised at how light the child was. Hold on tight. He ran out of the alley and back into the marketplace. People were looking around, confused by the alarms. Dae-hyun pushed through the crowd, heading for the docking bay. His supplies were gone, left behind in the alley. But that didn't matter now. He had something more important to protect. Station security guards appeared at the far end of the marketplace, shouting for him to stop. Dae-hyun didn't stop. He ran faster, dodging between stalls and jumping over cargo containers. Tali held on, his small arms wrapped around Dae-hyun's neck. Why are you helping me? Tali asked as they ran. Dae-hyun didn't have a good answer. Maybe it was because Tali reminded him of his younger brother back on Earth. Maybe it was because he hated bullies. Maybe it was just the human thing to do. Because you asked for help, he said simply. That's enough. They reached the entrance to the docking bay, but security had locked it down. Heavy metal doors blocked the way. More guards were coming from behind. They were trapped. Dae-hyun looked at the locked doors, then at the guards running toward them. His mind raced. He needed another way out. Station security was probably working with the bounty hunters now. Money talked in places like this, and whoever wanted Tali dead had plenty of it. Hold on tighter, he told Tali, then turned and ran in a different direction. There had to be another way to the docking bay. These old stations always had maintenance tunnels, service corridors, places the regular folks didn't see. Stop right there, a guard shouted behind them. A plasma bolt hit the wall next to Dae-hyun's head, leaving a black scorch mark. They were shooting now. They were really shooting. Dae-hyun ducked into a side corridor, his boots pounding on the metal floor. Tali's scales were pressed against his neck, the child's whole body shaking with fear. It's okay, Dae-hyun said, even though nothing was okay. I've got you. He turned a corner and almost ran into a group of merchants. They scattered, yelling in different languages. More alarms were going off now. The whole station knew someone was running. Dae-hyun kept moving, his human endurance letting him run when most aliens would have tired already. Who are you? Tali asked between gasps. Why don't you get tired? Humans are built for running, Dae-hyun said. Long time ago, on our home world, we used to chase animals until they collapsed. We're not the fastest, but we don't stop. His lungs burned, but he kept his pace steady. He'd run marathons back on Earth. This was nothing. They passed through a food court, then a shopping area, then into the industrial section of the station. The crowds thinned out here. Dae-hyun found what he was looking for, a maintenance access panel. He put Tali down and pulled out a small tool from his pocket. 30 seconds later, the panel was open. In, he said to Tali. The child climbed into the dark tunnel. Dae-hyun followed, pulling the panel shut behind them. In the darkness, he could hear the guards running past, their boots thundering on the floor above. Dae-hyun activated a small light on his wrist. The tunnel was narrow and dirty, with pipes running along the walls. "Okay," he said softly. "We have a minute to breathe. Tell me what's happening. Why do people want to hurt you?" Tali sat down in the tunnel, his scales now showing dark blue colors. Dae-hyun had learned that meant sadness in many species. "My mother is the matriarch," Tali said quietly. "She leads all of my people, the Velori." Dae-hyun's eyes widened. The Velori were a major species, known throughout the galaxy. Their home world was rich and beautiful. "Your mother is Matriarch Kira?" Tali nodded. "Bad people tried to take her power. They wanted to kill me to hurt her. She sent me away to keep me safe. I've been hiding for 6 days. Running. Scared." His big eyes filled with tears. "I thought I was going to die. Then you came." 6 days. This child had been alone and hunted for 6 days. Dae-hyun felt anger burn in his chest again. "How old are you, Tali?" "8 of your years," Tali said. 8 years old. Just a baby. Dae-hyun reached out and gently touched Tali's shoulder. "Listen to me. I'm not going to let anyone hurt you. I promise. We're going to get you back to your mother." "But she's far away," Tali said. "And your ship is locked. They won't let you leave." "They locked the regular exits," Dae-hyun said with a small smile. "But I have friends on this station. Friends who owe me favors." He pulled out his communication device and sent a quick message. Then they waited in the dark tunnel. 5 minutes later, his device buzzed. A voice came through, female and annoyed. "Dae-hyun, what kind of trouble are you in now?" "The good kind, Soon-hee," he said. "I need to get to my ship without going through the main docking bay entrance. Security locked everything down. They're looking for you and some alien kid. The whole station is talking about it." There was a pause. "You really punched 3 bounty hunters?" "I didn't punch anyone. I just convinced them to leave." Another plasma bolt hit somewhere above them. The guards were searching the maintenance areas now. "Can you help or not?" Soon-hee sighed. "You saved my life on Proxima Station. I owe you one. But after this, we're even." She sent him a map on his device. "There's an old maintenance tunnel that connects to the docking bay, built back when they first made this station. Most people forgot it exists. I'm unlocking the access doors now." "You're the best," Dae-hyun said. "I know. Try not to die. You still owe me money." The connection ended. Dae-hyun looked at the map, then at Tali. "Come on, kid. We're going home." They crawled through the tunnels, following the map. It was hot and uncomfortable. Steam from the station's systems made it hard to breathe. Tali was slowing down, his small body exhausted. Dae-hyun picked him up again and kept moving. Human endurance. That's what would get them through this. "Why do you help people?" Tali asked, his voice tired. "Most aliens in the station just walked past me, ignored me, but you helped." Dae-hyun thought about it as he walked. "On Earth, we have a saying. If not me, then who? If not now, then when? Someone has to help. Might as well be me. Are all humans like you? Some are, some aren't. But enough of us are, I think. We look out for each other. We protect those who can't protect themselves." He adjusted his grip on Tali. "That's what makes us human." They reached the end of the tunnel. A door marked "Authorized Personnel Only" was ahead. Dae-hyun pushed it open, and they came out in a dark corner of the docking bay. His ship, the Morning Star, was 3 platforms away, so close. But between them and the ship, station guards were everywhere. They were checking every vessel, searching for Dae-hyun and Tali. The bounty hunters were there too, talking to the security chief. Money was changing hands. "Too many," Tali whispered. "Yeah," Dae-hyun agreed. "Too many to fight." He looked around, thinking. Then he saw cargo containers being loaded onto a transport ship. "But we don't need to fight. We just need to be smart. He carried Tali over to the containers, staying in the shadows. Workers were loading them with machines, not paying much attention. Dae-hyun waited for the right moment, then slipped between two containers. They hid there, silent and still. The containers were loaded onto a transport sled. Machines pulled the sled across the docking bay, right past the guards, heading toward the far side where Dae-hyun's ship waited. Nobody checked the containers. Nobody looked inside. When they got close to the Morning Star, Dae-hyun whispered, "Get ready to run." He counted to 3, then jumped out from between the containers. Tali was right behind him. They sprinted toward the ship's cargo ramp. Alarms went off immediately. Guards shouted. Plasma bolts started flying. Dae-hyun hit the control button for his ship's ramp. It opened with a hiss. He and Tali ran inside. More bolts hit the hull, leaving black marks but not penetrating. The Morning Star was old but tough. Dae-hyun sealed the ramp and ran to the cockpit. Tali climbed into the co-pilot seat, holding on tight. Dae-hyun's hands flew over the controls, starting the engines. The station was trying to lock down his ship remotely, but Soon-hee had already hacked those systems. Good old Soon-hee. The ship lifted off the platform. Guards were running toward them. The bounty hunters were firing bigger weapons now. Something exploded against the shields, making the whole ship shake. "Strap in!" Dae-hyun yelled. He pushed the engines to full power. The Morning Star shot toward the docking bay exit. Station defense guns started tracking them. This was going to be close, very close. They burst out of the station into open space. Dae-hyun immediately activated the jump drive. Come on, he muttered. The drive needed 30 seconds to charge. Behind them, station security ships were launching. 20 seconds. Station ships were getting closer. Weapons locking on. 10 seconds. Tali closed his eyes and whispered something in his own language. A prayer, maybe. 5 seconds. Plasma bolts hit their shields. Alarms screamed. 0. Dae-hyun pulled the jump lever. Space twisted around them and they vanished into hyperspace, leaving the station far behind. The hyperspace tunnel glowed blue around the Morning Star. Inside the cockpit, Dae-hyun let out a long breath. His hands were shaking from the adrenaline. They'd made it. Somehow they'd actually made it out alive. He looked over at Tali. The little Valori was still strapped into the co-pilot seat, his scales showing colors that shifted between blue and green. Relief and fear mixed together. "You okay, kid?" Tali nodded slowly. "I thought they would catch us." "So did I," Dae-hyun admitted. "But humans are good at running away when we need to. Come on, let's get you cleaned up and fed." "You look like you haven't eaten in days." They went to the ship's small living area. Dae-hyun found a medical kit and started checking Tali for injuries. There were cuts on the child's arms and legs, probably from crawling through vents and hiding in rough places. Bruises, too. Dae-hyun cleaned each wound carefully, his anger growing with each one he found. "Does it hurt?" Tali asked as Dae-hyun applied medicine. "It should ask you that. You're the one who's hurt." "No, I mean your hands. They're shaking." Dae-hyun looked at his hands. Tali was right. "Yeah, that happens after scary stuff. The fear comes out later when you're safe. It's normal." He finished with the medicine and wrapped a bandage around a bad cut on Tali's arm. "There. You'll heal up fine." "Thank you," Tali said quietly. "For everything. Don't thank me yet. We still have to get you home." Dae-hyun stood up and went to the small kitchen. "Are you hungry? I don't have fancy food. Just simple human stuff." "I haven't eaten in 2 days," Tali admitted. 2 days. Dae-hyun felt his chest tighten. He quickly started cooking rice and vegetables, simple food that most species could eat. While it cooked, he gave Tali some water and a piece of dried fruit. The child ate it so fast that Dae-hyun worried he might choke. "Slow down," he said gently. "The food isn't going anywhere. I have plenty." When the rice was ready, Dae-hyun served it in a bowl with vegetables on top. He showed Tali how to use chopsticks, but the child's hands were too shaky. so he gave him a spoon instead. Tali ate like he was starving, which he probably was. "This is good," Tali said between bites. "What is it?" "Rice and vegetables, basic food from Earth. My mother taught me how to make it." Dae-hyun sat down across from Tali with his own bowl. "We eat it almost every day back home." "Earth," Tali said the word carefully. "That's where all humans come from?" "Yeah, it's a nice planet. Blue oceans, green forests, mountains and deserts. We have every kind of weather you can imagine." Dae-hyun smiled, thinking of home. "I miss it sometimes, but there's a whole galaxy out here to see." They ate in comfortable silence for a while. Then Tali asked, "Why did you become a cargo hauler?" "Needed to make money," Dae-hyun said. "My family back on Earth needed help. So I came out here, bought this old ship, and started moving things from place to place. It's not exciting, but it pays the bills." "But you saved me." "That was exciting." "Yeah, well, I didn't plan on that." Dae-hyun finished his rice and set the bowl down. "Tell me about your mother. About what happened." Tali's scales turned dark blue again. "My mother is the matriarch. She leads all Velori people. She's wise and kind and everyone loves her. But some people wanted her power. They wanted to make decisions instead of her. They tried to hurt me to make her weak." "A coup," Dae-hyun said. "Someone tried to overthrow the government." "Yes. Mother sent me away with guards. She said to run and hide until she could fix things. But the guards died protecting me. I ran for days and days. I was so scared I thought I would die alone." Tali looked up at Dae-hyun. "Then you found me. Your mother must be worried sick about you." "I know. That's why I said she wants to meet you. If you can take me home, she'll want to thank you." Tali pushed his empty bowl away. "Our home world is called Velora. It's 3 jumps from here. Can your ship make it?" 3 jumps. Dae-hyun thought about his fuel levels. "Yeah, we can make it. But Tali, if there's a coup happening, it might be dangerous. There could be warships, blockades, fighting." "I know, but I have to try. My mother needs to know I'm alive. My people need to know their prince is safe." Despite being just 8 years old, Tali sat up straight, trying to look brave. "Will you help me?" Dae-hyun looked at this small, scared, brave child. Any smart person would say no, would drop Tali at the nearest safe station and walk away. This wasn't his fight. He was just a cargo hauler, not a hero. But he thought about his own younger brother back on Earth. About how he'd feel if someone hurt his family. About how many times his mother had told him to help people when they needed it. "Yeah," he said. "I'll help you get home." Tali smiled for the first time since they'd met. It was a good smile. Dae-hyun went back to the cockpit and checked his communication system. He sent out messages to other humans he knew in this sector. Traders, mechanics, a few mercenaries who owed him favors. The messages were simple. "Need help. It's important. Are you in?" Humans had a reputation in the galaxy. They were pack animals, people said. If you helped one human, others would come. If you hurt one human, they'd all come looking for you. It wasn't really true for all humans, but it was true enough. The first reply came back in 10 minutes. It was from a human named Jae-min, who ran a mining ship. "What do you need?" Dae-hyun explained the situation. "A child in danger. A coup on Velora. Might be dangerous." Jaemin's reply was quick. "I'm in. Send coordinates." More replies came in over the next hour. Not everyone said yes. Some people had jobs, families, reasons they couldn't help. But enough said yes. 5 ships, 10 ships, 15. All human, all willing to help a child they'd never met. "Why are they coming?" Tali asked, watching the messages appear. "Because I asked," Dae-hyun said simply. "And because it's the right thing to do. Humans are like that. We help each other. We protect people who need protecting." He set the navigation computer for Valora. It's what makes us different from a lot of species. We care, even when it's hard, even when it's dangerous. I wish more aliens were like humans, Tali said. Dae-hyun laughed. Trust me, we have plenty of problems too. We fight each other. We make mistakes. We mess things up all the time. But when it really matters, when someone needs help, we show up. They traveled through hyperspace for hours. Dae-hyun let Tali sleep in the spare bunk while he kept watch. The child needed rest. While Tali slept, Dae-hyun thought about what they were flying into. A blockade, probably. Ships loyal to whoever was trying to take power. Maybe actual fighting. He wasn't a soldier. He'd never been in a war. He was just a guy who moved cargo for money. But he'd made a promise to a scared child, and humans kept their promises. His communication system buzzed. More ships were joining their little fleet. 20 now. 25. Humans from all over the sector dropping whatever they were doing to help. Some he knew. Most he'd never met. But they all had one thing in common. They couldn't stand by and do nothing. Tali woke up a few hours later, looking better. The food and rest had helped. He came to the cockpit and climbed into the co-pilot seat. How long until we reach Valora? About 6 more hours in hyperspace, then we'll see what we're dealing with. Dae-hyun showed Tali the communication screen. Look at this. 28 human ships are coming to help you. Tali's eyes went wide. That many? But they don't know me. They know you're a kid who needs help. That's enough. Dae-hyun checked the navigation display. Your mother must be something special if people are willing to overthrow her. She's the best mother in the galaxy, Tali said firmly. And the best leader. She always does what's right, even when it's hard. Just like you. I'm not a leader, kid. I'm just stubborn. Maybe being stubborn is enough. They shared some more food and talked about small things. Tali told stories about Valora, about crystal cities and singing forests. Dae-hyun told stories about Earth, about oceans and mountains. For a while, they could almost forget the danger ahead. But as the navigation computer counted down the hours, reality came back. Soon they would drop out of hyperspace near Valora. Soon they would face whatever was waiting there. Are you scared? Tali asked. Terrified, Dae-hyun admitted. But we're going anyway. Being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means being scared and doing it anyway. The counter reached 0. Here we go, Dae-hyun said. He pulled the lever, and they dropped out of hyperspace. What they saw made Dae-hyun's heart sink. Warships, dozens of them, forming a blockade around the beautiful blue and green planet below. And all of those ships were turning toward the morning star, weapons charging. The warships looked like giant metal sharks floating in space. Each one was 10 times bigger than the morning star. Their weapons glowed with charging energy, all pointed at Dae-hyun's small cargo ship. On the communication screen, a harsh voice demanded their surrender. Unidentified vessel, you have entered restricted space. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. If you resist, you will be destroyed. Dae-hyun looked at Tali. The child's scales had gone completely white, the color of pure fear. It's okay, Dae-hyun said, trying to sound calm. I have a plan. What plan? Tali whispered. I'm making it up as I go. Dae-hyun's fingers flew over the controls. Trust me. He opened a communication channel, broadcasting on every frequency he could find. Not just to the warships, but to the planet below, to every ship in the system, to anyone who would listen. This is Captain Dae-hyun of the Morning Star. I'm a human cargo hauler. I have Prince Tali aboard my ship. He's alive and safe. There was silence for a moment. Then the harsh voice came back. You're lying! The prince is dead! I'm not dead! Tali shouted, leaning toward the microphone. I'm here! Tell my mother I'm here! More silence. Dae-hyun could imagine the confusion on those warships. Their whole plan probably depended on everyone thinking the prince was dead. Now he was talking to them, very much alive. "The child is a fake," the voice said, but it sounded less certain now. "A trick." "I'm not a trick." Tali's voice was getting stronger, braver. "I am Tali, son of matriarch Kira, prince of all Valori, and these people tried to kill me." He looked at Dae-hyun, who nodded encouragement. "But this human saved me. He protected me when no one else would." Dae-hyun broadcast a visual signal, showing Tali's face on every screen in the system. "Let everyone see that the prince was alive. Let everyone know what was really happening." On the planet below, he could see lights starting to flicker in the cities. Communications going crazy, people finding out their prince had survived. The warships were talking to each other now on private channels, arguing. "Last warning," the harsh voice said. "Surrender the child or be destroyed." "Here's my counteroffer," Dae-hyun said. "Let us through, or face the consequences." "Consequences? You're one small ship against 30 warships. You can't fight us." "You're right. I can't." Dae-hyun smiled. "But I'm not alone." He pressed a button, and space around the morning star suddenly filled with ships. Human ships, dropping out of hyperspace in perfect formation. 28 vessels of all sizes, from small fighters to big cargo haulers like his. They formed a protective circle around the morning star, their weapons ready. And behind them, more ships were arriving. 40, 50. The message had spread across human networks. Help was needed. A child was in danger, and humans from across the sector were answering the call. "This is Captain Jamin of the mining vessel Stonebreaker," a voice came over the communication channel. "We're here to support Dae-hyun. Anyone who wants to hurt that kid will have to go through all of us." Other voices joined in. Humans from different worlds, different backgrounds, different ships, but all saying the same thing. They were here to protect Tali. The warship commander's voice came back, angry now. "You're all insane. There are 30 military warships here. You're just cargo haulers and miners." "Yeah," Dae-hyun said calmly, "but we're humans, and you know what they say about humans. We don't back down. We don't surrender. And we really don't like people who hurt children." He let that sink in. "You can shoot us. Maybe you'll win. But how many of your ships will we destroy first? How many of your crews will die? Is killing one child worth all that?" Silence on the communication channel. Dae-hyun could see the warships holding position, but not firing. They were thinking, calculating. Humans had a reputation for being crazy, for fighting beyond all reason when they cared about something. Nobody wanted to test if that reputation was true. "Plus," Dae-hyun continued, "everyone in this system now knows the prince is alive. Every Valori on that planet heard him speak. Your coup just fell apart. Even if you kill us, even if you kill Tali, the secret is out. Your leaders lied. The prince survived. How long before your own crews turn against you?" More silence. Then something unexpected happened. One of the warships broke formation. It moved away from the others, positioning itself between the blockade and the human ships. "This is Captain Ven of the warship Dawn's Light," a new voice said. "I am loyal to matriarch Kira and her son. I will not fire on the prince." The warship's weapons powered down. "Any ship that wants to hurt the child will have to destroy me first." Another warship moved, then another. The blockade was breaking apart. Not all the ships, but enough. Enough Valori captains who had been following orders, who hadn't known the full truth, who weren't willing to kill a child. The original harsh voice came back, full of anger. "Traitors! All of you are traitors! We'll destroy—" His transmission was cut off. On Dae-hyun's screen, he saw the warships that had defected turning their weapons on the ones that remained loyal to the coup. A standoff within a standoff. "Attention all ships!" Captain Ven's voice came through clearly. "I am taking command of the loyalist forces. The coup leaders are under arrest. Prince Tali, you and your human friends may proceed to the planet's surface. Your mother awaits." Tali jumped up from his seat, his scales turning bright gold with joy. "We did it! We actually did it!" "We did it," Dae-hyun agreed, feeling relief wash over him. His hands were shaking again, but this time from released tension. The human ships formed an escort around the morning star as they descended toward the planet. Dae-hyun could see Valora getting bigger on the screen. It was beautiful. Blue oceans, green continents, and cities that looked like they were made of crystal and light. "I can't believe all those humans came to help me," Tali said, watching the escort ships. "They don't even know me." "That's the thing about humans," Dae-hyun said. "We're pack animals. We look out for each other and we look out for people who need help. It's just how we're built. Your species is amazing. We have our moments." Dae-hyun guided the ship through the atmosphere. Captain Ven was sending landing coordinates, directing them to the capital city's royal landing platform. "Though I have to say, your people are pretty brave too. Those captains who defected, they risked everything." "They did the right thing," Tali said. "Just like you." The crystal cities of Valora grew larger. Dae-hyun had never seen anything so beautiful. Towers that caught the sunlight and split it into rainbows. Gardens that seemed to float in the air. Water that flowed in impossible patterns, defying gravity. They landed on a wide platform made of white stone. Outside, Dae-hyun could see crowds of Valori gathering, thousands of them, all coming to see their prince return home. Guards in ceremonial armor formed a protective line, but they weren't hostile. They were smiling. "Ready?" Dae-hyun asked Tali. The child nodded, his scales showing every color at once. Excitement, fear, hope, joy, all mixed together. "Will you come with me to meet my mother?" "Wouldn't miss it for the galaxy, kid." They walked down the cargo ramp together. The crowd erupted in cheers when they saw Tali. People were crying, laughing, celebrating. The prince was alive. The prince had come home. Guards approached, but they bowed respectfully to Tali before forming a protective escort. One of them, an older Valori with silver scales, looked at Dae-hyun. "You're the human who saved our prince." "I just helped him get home," Dae-hyun said. "You did more than that. You gave us hope." The guard gestured toward a crystal palace in the distance. "The matriarch is waiting. Please, both of you, follow me." They walked through streets lined with cheering Valori. Tali waved to his people, and they waved back, some throwing flowers. Dae-hyun felt very small and very human among all these beautiful alien beings, but nobody treated him badly. They looked at him with respect, some with wonder. "Is this what it's like being a hero?" Tali whispered. "I don't know," Dae-hyun whispered back. "I've never been one before." The palace was even more beautiful up close. It seemed to grow out of the ground rather than being built. Everything glowed with a soft light. Guards opened massive doors, and they entered a great hall with a ceiling so high that Dae-hyun couldn't see the top. At the far end of the hall, sitting on a throne made of living crystal, was Matriarch Kira. She was tall and elegant, with scales that shifted between silver and gold. Her eyes were the same shape as Tali's, full of wisdom and kindness. When she saw Tali, she stood up. Her composure, her royal bearing, everything fell away. She was just a mother who thought her child was dead. "Tali," she said, her voice breaking. "Mother." Tali ran forward. They met in the middle of the hall, embracing. Kira held her son like she would never let go, and Tali clung to her, crying. Around them, the royal court watched in silence, many of them crying too. Dae-hyun stood back, not wanting to interrupt. This was their moment. But after a long time, Kira looked up and saw him standing there. Still holding Tali, she walked toward him. "You must be the human my son spoke of," she said. Her voice was rich and warm. "The one who saved him." Dae-hyun bowed, not sure what else to do. I just did what anyone would do, Your Majesty. No, Kira said firmly. Most beings would have walked past. But you stopped. You helped. You risked your life. She reached out and gently touched his shoulder. Thank you for bringing my son home. Kira led them to a private chamber, away from the crowds in the court. It was a beautiful room with windows that showed the city below. Tali refused to let go of his mother's hand, and she held him close, as if afraid he might disappear again. Tell me everything, Kira said, sitting down on a comfortable chair. She pulled Tali onto her lap even though he was getting big for it. Tell me how you survived. Tali told his story. About running from the assassins, about hiding in the station's dark corners, about being found by the bounty hunters, and about how a human stranger had saved him when no one else would. Kira listened to every word, her eyes never leaving her son's face. When Tali described being chased through the station, her scales turned dark with anger. When he talked about Dae-hyun protecting him, they turned warm gold with gratitude. You were so brave, Kira said, kissing the top of Tali's head. I'm so proud of you. I was scared, Tali admitted. But Dae-hyun told me that being brave means being scared and doing it anyway. Kira looked at Dae-hyun, who stood near the window trying to give them privacy. That's good wisdom. Where did you learn that? My mother told me, Dae-hyun said. Back on Earth. She raised me and my brother by herself after my father died. She was the bravest person I ever knew. She raised you well. Kira gently moved Tali from her lap to the chair beside her. Tali, can you give me a moment to speak with Dae-hyun alone? Tali nodded and went to look out the window at the city. Kira stood and walked over to Dae-hyun. Up close, he could see how tired she looked. This coup had taken everything from her. I wanted to meet you before... She paused, choosing her words carefully. Before they kill me. Dae-hyun stared at her. What? The coup isn't over, Kira said quietly, so Tali couldn't hear. The leaders are still free. They control half the military. Captain Ven and the Loyalists are fighting them even now, in space above our world. When they win, they'll come here. They'll finish what they started. She smiled sadly. But at least I got to see my son one more time. At least I got to thank you for saving him. No, Dae-hyun said firmly. That's not how this ends. You're very kind, but you're just one human. You can't fight an army. You're right, I can't. Dae-hyun walked to the window and looked out at the city. He could see smoke rising from some districts, fighting in the streets. But I didn't come all this way just to watch you die. We're getting you and Tali out of here. Where would we go? This is our home. My people need me. Your people need you alive, Dae-hyun said. Dead. You can't help anyone. He pulled out his communication device and started sending messages. How many loyal soldiers do you have in the palace? Perhaps 200. The rest fled or joined the coup. Kira watched him curiously. What are you planning? I'm calling for help, again. Dae-hyun's fingers moved quickly over the device. Humans are stubborn. We don't save someone halfway. We finish the job. You would do this? Risk your life again for people you don't know? Dae-hyun looked at her, then at Tali by the window. That kid asked for help. I said yes. That means I help until it's done. Not until it gets hard. He finished sending messages and turned back to Kira. Where are the coup leaders? Where's their base? The old military fortress outside the capital. They have weapons there, soldiers, shields that can block attacks from space. Kira shook her head. It's impossible to assault. We'd need an army. Then we'll get an army. Dae-hyun's communication device started buzzing with replies. The other humans, the ones who had helped break the blockade, were still in orbit. How many Valori would fight for you if they knew you and Tali were alive and fighting back? Kira thought about it. Thousands, maybe more. But they're scattered, afraid. They don't know who to trust. Then we tell them. Dae-hyun walked to a computer terminal in the room. Can you broadcast from here? To the whole planet? Yes, but the coup leaders will trace it. They'll attack the palace. Good. Let them come. Dae-hyun smiled. We'll be ready. Kira looked at this human. This stranger who had walked into her life and refused to give up. She saw something in him that she recognized. The same stubbornness her own people had before the coup had broken their spirit. You're insane. Probably. But it might work. Dae-hyun activated the terminal. Make the broadcast. Tell your people that you're alive, that Tali is safe, and that you're going to take back your world. Give them hope. Kira hesitated for only a moment. Then she nodded. She went to the terminal and activated the planet-wide broadcast system. Within seconds, her face appeared on every screen on Valora. My people, she said, her voice steady and strong. I am Matriarch Kira. I am alive. My son Tali is alive and safe. The stories of our deaths were lies, spread by those who would steal our freedom. She held out her hand and Tali ran over, standing beside her. We will not hide. We will not run. We will take back our world. Join us. Fight with us. Together, we are stronger than any coup, any army, any darkness. The broadcast ended. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Dae-hyun's communication device exploded with messages, not just from humans, but from Valori all over the planet. People were rising up, taking to the streets. The loyalist soldiers in the city were rallying. It's working, Kira whispered, hardly believing it. Of course it's working, Dae-hyun said. People want to believe in something. You just gave them that. Then the alarm started blaring. Palace guards rushed into the room. Your Majesty, coup forces are attacking the palace. Hundreds of soldiers, heavy weapons. How long can we hold? Kira asked. Maybe an hour, maybe less. Dae-hyun checked his device. The human ships are landing near the palace. Captain Jamin says they're bringing weapons and supplies. More messages came in. Loyalist Valori forces are converging on the palace too. We'll have reinforcements in 20 minutes. But the coup soldiers will be here in 10, the guard said. Then we hold for 10 minutes. Dae-hyun looked at Kira. Where are your defenses? What can we work with? Kira took charge immediately, her royal training kicking in. She started giving orders to guards, organizing the defense. Dae-hyun worked alongside her, using his experience from years of dealing with pirates and raiders. They weren't soldiers, but they were smart and determined. Tali stayed close to his mother, trying to be brave. Dae-hyun knelt down beside him. Hey, kid, I need you to do something important. What? Stay safe. Stay with the guards. When the fighting starts, they'll protect you. Can you do that? I want to help, Tali said. You already helped. You were brave when it mattered most. Now let the adults handle this part. Dae-hyun ruffled the scales on Tali's head. Your mom needs to know you're safe so she can focus on leading, okay? Tali nodded reluctantly. Guards led him to an inner chamber, the most protected part of the palace. The first explosion rocked the palace walls. The coup forces were here. Dae-hyun grabbed a plasma rifle from a weapons rack. He'd never been a soldier, but he knew how to shoot. Next to him, Kira picked up a weapon too. You know how to use that? He asked. I wasn't always a matriarch, she said with a small smile. I was a soldier once, long ago. They took positions along the palace walls. Loyalist guards stood with them, ready to defend their matriarch. Outside, through the crystal walls, Dae-hyun could see the coup forces advancing, hundreds of soldiers in combat armor. This is crazy, one of the guards muttered. We can't hold against that many. We don't have to hold forever, Dae-hyun said. Just long enough. The coup forces opened fire. Plasma bolts struck the palace shields, making them flicker with light. The shields would hold for a while, but not forever. Dae-hyun waited. his finger on the trigger, watching. The shields failed. The coup soldiers rushed forward. "Now!" Dae-hyun shouted. The Loyalists opened fire. The battle for the palace had begun. Dae-hyun fired his rifle, each shot careful and aimed. He wasn't trying to kill, just to slow them down, make them take cover, buy time. Beside him, Kira fought like the warrior she'd once been, her shots precise and deadly. Minutes felt like hours. The coup forces kept coming, wave after wave. The defenders were being pushed back step by step. Dae-hyun's rifle overheated. He grabbed another one. His arms ached, his ears rang from the explosions. "Fall back to the inner halls," Kira ordered. They retreated, fighting every step. Then Dae-hyun heard it, the sound of engines. He risked a glance at the sky and saw them. Human ships landing in the palace courtyard. Cargo ramps dropping. Humans running out with weapons, joining the fight. "About time!" Dae-hyun shouted to Captain Jamin as the big miner ran past with a plasma cannon. "Got caught in traffic!" Jamin laughed and opened fire on the coup forces. More ships landed. More humans joined the fight. And behind them, Valori civilians were arriving too. Not soldiers. Just ordinary people who had seen the matriarch's broadcast and come to help. They had whatever weapons they could find. Some just had tools or farming equipment. But they came, thousands of them. Because their matriarch had asked for help. Because they believed. The coup forces saw the crowds arriving and wavered. This wasn't what they'd expected. They'd thought it would be easy, a quick assault on a nearly defenseless palace. Instead, they faced an army of ordinary people who refused to give up. The coup commander called for a retreat. His soldiers fell back, regrouping outside the palace. They'd be back, Dae-hyun knew. But for now, the palace was safe. Kira lowered her weapon and looked at the crowd of humans and Valori who had come to help. "Incredible," she whispered. "They actually came." "Told you," Dae-hyun said, setting down his rifle. His hands were shaking again. "People want to help. You just have to give them a reason." The palace halls were filled with people now. Humans and Valori worked side by side, setting up defenses and preparing for the next attack. Medical stations were established in the grand hall. Weapons were distributed to anyone who could use them. The palace had transformed from a place of beauty into a fortress. Dae-hyun found a quiet corner to rest for a moment. His body ached from the fighting. He checked his communication device and saw messages from across the planet. More people were rising up. The coup leaders were losing control of the cities, but they still had their military fortress and enough loyal soldiers to be dangerous. Captain Jamin sat down next to him, breathing heavily. "This is not what I expected when I signed up to haul rocks across the galaxy." "Yeah, well, life is full of surprises," Dae-hyun said. He took a drink of water and offered the bottle to Jamin. "Thanks for coming, for bringing everyone." "Are you kidding? A kid in danger? A tyrant to overthrow? This is the most human thing ever. Of course we came." Jamin drank and wiped his mouth. Besides, cargo hauling was getting boring. Soon he appeared, her engineering suit covered in dust. "I've been analyzing their attack patterns. They're going to come back with everything they have, heavy weapons, maybe even orbital strikes if they're desperate enough." "Can the palace shields handle that?" Dae-hyun asked. "Not for long, maybe 30 minutes of sustained bombardment." Soon he pulled up a holographic display from her wrist computer. "But I have an idea. If we can get into the palace's main power systems, I can boost the shields. Won't make them invincible, but it'll buy us time." "Do it," Dae-hyun said. "We need every minute we can get." Kira approached them, looking exhausted but determined. "The coup leaders have sent a message. They want me to surrender. They say if I give myself up, they'll spare the palace and everyone in it." "That's a lie," Dae-hyun said immediately. "I know, but I wanted your opinion." Kira sat down, and for a moment she wasn't a matriarch, just a tired mother. "If I surrender, maybe Tali will be safe. Maybe all these people who came to help won't die." If you surrender, they'll kill you and Tali both, Jaemin said bluntly. And then they'll kill everyone here for being traitors. That's how coups work. Kira nodded slowly. That's what I thought too, but I had to ask. She looked at the three humans. Why are you really doing this? Your people, I mean. You could have dropped Tali off and left. Why stay and fight? Dae-hyun thought about it. Because on Earth we have a saying, evil wins when good people do nothing. We can't fix everything wrong in the galaxy. But we can fix this. We can help you. So we do. It's more than that, Soon-hee added. Humans are pack animals. When one of us decides to care about something, others follow. You and Tali? You're pack now. We protect our pack. Before Kira could respond, alarms blared again. A guard ran in, shouting, They're coming! The coup forces, all of them, everything they have! Everyone rushed to defensive positions. Dae-hyun grabbed his rifle and ran to the outer walls. Through the crystal barriers, he could see them. Not just soldiers this time. Tanks, heavy artillery, flying attack vehicles. The coup leaders were done playing around. They're going to level the palace, someone said. Then we make them work for it, Dae-hyun replied. The bombardment began. Massive plasma cannons fired from the distance, their shots slamming into the palace shields. Each impact made the whole building shake. The shields flickered, struggling to hold. Shields at 70%! Soon-hee called out from the power station. 60, 50! The coup forces advanced behind the cover of artillery, wave after wave of soldiers, moving in perfect military formation. These weren't just loyalists to the coup. These were professional soldiers following orders. Dae-hyun fired at the advancing troops, but for every one that fell, 2 more took their place. The defenders were outnumbered 10-1. This was going to be bad. Then something unexpected happened. The artillery stopped firing. Dae-hyun looked up and saw why. In the sky above, the warships that had been fighting in orbit were descending. Captain Ven's loyalist fleet coming to help. The warships opened fire on the coup artillery positions, destroying them with precision strikes. The coup ground forces scattered, taking cover. The tide is turning, Kira shouted, hope in her voice. But Dae-hyun saw something that worried him. A group of coup soldiers had broken off from the main force. They were heading around the palace, trying to find another way in, and they were moving toward the section where Tali was being protected. They're going for the inner chambers, Dae-hyun said. They're going for Tali. Kira's face went white. How many? 20 soldiers, maybe more. The guards there can't hold against that many. Kira started to move, but Dae-hyun stopped her. You need to stay here. Lead the defense. I'll go. He checked his rifle and grabbed extra power cells. I'll protect him. You can't fight 20 soldiers alone, Kira said. I don't plan to fight them. Dae-hyun smiled grimly. I plan to slow them down until help arrives. That's what humans do best. We're stubborn. He ran through the palace halls, heading for the inner chambers. Behind him, he could hear Kira shouting orders, rallying the defenders. He had to trust that she could hold the main attack. His job was to protect Tali. He reached the corridor leading to the inner chambers just as the coup soldiers blasted through a side entrance. 20 of them, in full combat armor, weapons raised. They saw Dae-hyun standing alone in the corridor and stopped. Stand aside, human, their leader said. We have no quarrel with you. We want the prince. Then you have a quarrel with me, Dae-hyun said. He raised his rifle. Because you're not getting past here. The soldiers looked at each other, confused. 1 human against 20 trained soldiers. It was insane. You'll die, the leader said. Probably, Dae-hyun agreed. But I'll slow you down. I'll make noise. I'll give others time to get here. And maybe, just maybe, I'll take a few of you with me. He thought of his mother, his brother, of all the people who'd taught him to stand up for what was right. See, humans have this thing. We don't know when to quit. He opened fire. The battle in the corridor was brutal and short. Dae-hyun used the narrow space to his advantage, making it hard for the soldiers to surround him. He ducked behind pillars, rolled behind cover, kept moving. His rifle overheated. He grabbed a weapon from a fallen soldier and kept fighting. A plasma bolt grazed his shoulder. Pain exploded down his arm, but he ignored it. Another bolt hit his leg. He fell, got back up, kept shooting. The soldiers were advancing, but slowly. Every meter they gained, Dae-hyun made them pay for. "Just die already," the leader shouted, frustrated. "Humans don't die easy," Dae-hyun gasped. His vision was getting blurry from pain. How many had he taken down? 5? 6? It didn't matter. There were still too many. He was out of ammunition, out of strength. The soldiers advanced for the final strike. Dae-hyun raised his fists. If he was going down, he was going down fighting. Then he heard it. Running footsteps, lots of them. The palace guards arrived, led by Soon-hee and a group of armed humans. They hit the coup soldiers from behind, catching them by surprise. The fight turned into chaos. Dae-hyun slumped against the wall, bleeding but alive. Soon-hee ran to him. "You crazy idiot. You were supposed to wait for backup." "Didn't have time," Dae-hyun said. "Is Tali safe?" "He's safe. The guards are with him." Soon-hee checked his wounds. "You're hurt bad. We need to get you to medical." "Later. The battle is over," Soon-hee said. "Look." Through a window, Dae-hyun could see the coup forces retreating. The combined force of the loyalist warships, the human volunteers, and the Valori civilians was too much. The coup leader's army was breaking apart. Soldiers surrendering or running. Captain Jae-min appeared in the corridor, grinning. "We did it! The coup forces are surrendering! The fortress has fallen!" He saw Dae-hyun bleeding against the wall. "Oh man, you look terrible." "Feel terrible too," Dae-hyun admitted. Kira arrived, running down the corridor. She saw Dae-hyun wounded and knelt beside him. "You saved my son. Again." "Just doing what anyone would do," Dae-hyun said. His eyes were getting heavy. The adrenaline was wearing off and pain was taking its place. "No," Kira said firmly. "Not anyone. You." She called for medics. "Get him to the medical bay. Best doctors. Whatever he needs." As they carried Dae-hyun away on a stretcher, he saw Tali running down the corridor with his guards. The little prince's scales were bright with worry. "Is he okay?" Tali asked his mother. "He will be," Kira said, holding her son close. "Because of him, we all will be." Dae-hyun closed his eyes, finally allowing himself to rest. He'd done it. They'd all done it. Against impossible odds, a cargo hauler, a prince, and a bunch of ordinary people had stopped a coup. It was the most human thing ever. Dae-hyun woke up 3 days later in a room filled with soft light. For a moment, he didn't remember where he was. Then the memories came back. The fighting, the corridor, getting shot. He tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Everything hurt. "You should rest," a gentle voice said. A Valori doctor was checking monitors beside his bed. "You were badly injured. Burns, plasma wounds, exhaustion. You're lucky to be alive." "Luck had nothing to do with it," Dae-hyun said, his voice rough. "Stubbornness, maybe." The doctor made a sound that might have been a laugh. "The humans we've been treating all say similar things. Your species is remarkably difficult to kill." He adjusted something on the medical equipment. "Your friends have been waiting to see you. Should I let them in?" "Yeah, please." The door opened and people flooded in. Captain Jae-min, Soon-hee, other humans he recognized from the battle, and Tali, who ran straight to the bed and grabbed Dae-hyun's hand carefully, mindful of the bandages. "You're awake!" Tali's scales showed every bright color. "Mother said you would be okay, but I was worried." "Takes more than a few plasma bolts to stop a human," Dae-hyun said, smiling. "How are you, kid? Are you okay?" "I'm perfect. Everyone is safe. The coup is over." Tali squeezed his hand gently. "Because of you. Because of all of us," Dae-hyun corrected. He looked at the others. What happened while I was out? Soon-hee stepped forward. The coup leaders surrendered when their fortress fell. They're being held for trial. The military is back under loyalist control. And matriarch Kira has been addressing the planet, bringing everyone together again. A lot of the coup soldiers didn't even know what they were fighting for, Jamin added. Once they learned the truth, they gave up. Turns out most people don't actually want to overthrow a good leader. How many did we lose? Dae-hyun asked quietly. 43 humans injured, including you, Soon-hee said. None dead somehow. We're lucky like that. The Valori lost more, 200 soldiers, 300 civilians who joined the fight. Her expression was sad. They'll be remembered as heroes. The room was quiet for a moment, honoring those who had fallen. Then Tali spoke up. Mother wants to see you when you're feeling better. She has something important to discuss. 2 days later, Dae-hyun could finally walk without feeling like he was going to fall over. A royal guard led him to a beautiful garden within the palace. Flowers that didn't exist on Earth grew everywhere, filling the air with sweet scents. Water fountains made music as they flowed. Kira was there, wearing simpler robes than before. She looked peaceful, the stress of the past weeks finally easing from her face. When she saw Dae-hyun, she smiled and gestured to a seat beside her. How are you feeling? She asked. Like I got hit by a truck, but I'll live. Dae-hyun sat down carefully. Your doctors are amazing. On Earth, injuries like mine would take months to heal. Our medical science is one of our proudest achievements. Kira poured him a drink from a crystal pitcher. It was sweet and cool. I wanted to speak with you privately, to thank you properly. You don't need to thank me. Yes, I do. You saved my son's life twice. You saved my people. You brought hope when we had none. Kira's voice was thick with emotion. Because of you, our world is free. How can I ever repay that? Dae-hyun thought about it. You can't, and you don't need to. I didn't do this for a reward. I know. That's what makes it even more meaningful. Kira pulled out a small box. But please, allow me to give you something anyway, not as payment, but as gratitude. She opened the box. Inside was a medallion made of crystal and precious metal. It glowed with a soft light. This is a royal family medallion. It marks you as blood kin to the royal house. It means you are family to us, now and forever. Dae-hyun stared at the medallion. I don't know what to say. Say you'll accept it. Say you'll remember us, as we will remember you. Kira placed the medallion in his hand. Tali insisted. He says you're his best friend. He's a good kid. You raised him well. Dae-hyun held the medallion carefully. It was warm, almost alive. I'll treasure this. Thank you. Kira nodded, satisfied. There's more. I'm establishing formal diplomatic relations with humanity. Your people have shown us what true courage and compassion look like. We want to learn from you, trade with you, share our worlds. Humanity would be honored, Dae-hyun said. Though I should warn you, we're kind of a mess sometimes. We argue. We fight among ourselves. We make mistakes. So do we, Kira said with a gentle smile. But you also care. Even when it's hard, even when it's dangerous, that's what matters. She stood up. Come, Tali has been preparing something for you. They walked through the palace to a grand dining hall. Inside, a long table was set with food from a dozen different worlds. Humans and Valori sat together, talking and laughing. The humans who had helped were being honored as heroes. And at the head of the table, Tali had set up a small cooking station. Dae-hyun, Tali called out, waving. Come here, I want to show you something. Dae-hyun walked over. On the cooking station were ingredients he recognized. Rice, vegetables, spices. What's all this? You taught me about human food when we were on your ship, Tally said proudly. So I learned to make it. I wanted to cook for you like you cooked for me. He held up a jar. This is kimchi. It took 3 days to make, just like you said. Good things take time. Dae-hyun felt his throat tighten with emotion. This child had remembered, had learned, had cared enough to spend days making food just to show gratitude. Tali, that's really special. Try it. Tali opened the jar carefully. Dae-hyun took a piece of the kimchi and tasted it. It wasn't perfect. The spices were a little off, and the fermentation wasn't quite right. But it was made with love, and that made it perfect in its own way. It's delicious, he said honestly. You did great, kid. Tali's scales turned bright gold with happiness. Really? Really? You're a natural cook. They sat down to eat together. Humans and Valori sharing food and stories. Captain Jae-min told an embarrassing story about Dae-hyun from years ago. Soon-hee showed off the engineering modifications she'd made to the palace shields. Kira talked about her plans to rebuild and unite her people. After the meal, Dae-hyun found himself on a balcony overlooking the city. The crystal towers caught the setting sun, turning everything gold and pink. It was beautiful, peaceful. Hard to believe there had been fighting here just days ago. Tali joined him on the balcony. Are you going to leave soon? Yeah, Dae-hyun said. I have a ship to repair and cargo to haul. Got to make a living. Will I ever see you again? Tali's voice was small, sad. Dae-hyun knelt down to be at eye level with the child. Count on it, kid. Humans don't forget their friends. I'll come back to visit. And when you're older, maybe you can visit Earth. I'll show you the oceans and mountains, introduce you to my brother. I'd like that. Tali hugged him tightly. Thank you for saving me, for saving all of us. Thank you for being brave, Dae-hyun said, for asking for help when you needed it. That took courage, too. Kira appeared in the doorway. Tali, it's time for bed. You can say goodbye to Dae-hyun tomorrow before he leaves. Tali nodded and reluctantly let go of the hug. Good night, Dae-hyun. Good night, kid. After Tali left, Kira stayed. She and Dae-hyun stood together, watching the sun set over the crystal city. You've given my son something precious, she said. Hope, the belief that good people exist in the universe. He gave me something too, Dae-hyun said. A reminder of why I do this. Why any of us do this. He touched the medallion now hanging around his neck. We help because someone has to. Because it's right. Because we can't stand by and do nothing. That's very human of you, Kira said warmly. Yeah, I guess it is. The next morning, Dae-hyun stood at his ship's cargo ramp. The Morning Star had been repaired and refueled, courtesy of the Valori government. Around him, the other humans were preparing to leave, too. Their work here was done. Tali ran up with a package. For you! For the journey! Inside was more kimchi, properly packed for space travel, and a handwritten note. Dae-hyun smiled. Thanks, kid. I'll think of you every time I eat it. And I'll think of you, Tali said. Every day. They hugged one more time. Then Dae-hyun boarded his ship. Soon he and Captain Jae-min were already in their vessels, ready to go. The human fleet lifted off together, rising into the sky. Inside the cockpit, Dae-hyun set a course for the next station. Back to normal life, back to hauling cargo. But as he looked at the medallion hanging from his controls and the photo he'd taken with Tali and Kira, he knew nothing would be quite the same. Soon-hee's voice came over the communication channel. So, where to next, hero? Dae-hyun smiled. Wherever someone needs help. Isn't that what we do? That's what humans do, Captain Jae-min added. We show up when it matters. They jumped to hyperspace, leaving Valora behind. But the story of what happened there spread across the galaxy. The story of a human cargo hauler who saved a prince, of ordinary people who became heroes. of a species that refused to abandon those in need. On Earth, Dae-hyun's mother received a message from the Valori government, thanking her for raising such a good son. She cried when she read it, proud beyond words. On Valora, Tali grew up strong and wise, never forgetting the human who had saved him. He became a great leader, known for his compassion and courage. And whenever he made kimchi, which he did often, he remembered the lesson Dae-hyun had taught him. Good things take time, but they're worth the wait. And throughout the galaxy, when people spoke of humans, they told this story. They said that humans were stubborn, yes, crazy sometimes, but also kind, brave, loyal. The kind of people who would risk everything to save a child they'd never met. The kind of people who, when asked for help, simply said yes. That was the human way. And the galaxy was better for it.